We're going to take a look at a very common exercise, like many exercises, that is commonly done incorrectly, the lunge. So starting from a standing position, we're going to have Stephanie step forward, about as a normal step for her, and we're going to have her drop straight down into a lunge, just to see how she does. And it's actually pretty good and better than most people are going to be the first time they do this. Most people, when they drop into a lunge, are vertical with their spine. It's not necessarily important that someone remain vertical with their spine. Typically, people think of a lunge whereby they're completely even between the front and back leg. But in truth, the lunge is nothing but a modified squat. So technically, she'd be fine if she starts standing again, and then goes back into that, stepping forward again casually, leans slightly forward, then drops straight down. And with that drop in straight down, that's the most important part. Most people's concern with a lunge is going to be the pressure on the knee. Some will say that knee should never travel in front of the ankle, and some will say the knee should never travel in front of the foot. But what it really is however that knee tracks, she must drop straight down. Stephanie's going to step out of that for a second, so we're going to kill her trying to do this lunge and holding for too long. We're going to have her try and do this again. Switch your left leg so we don't put too much pressure on that one same leg. So Stephanie, go and step forward with the left. Before she drops into her lunge, remind her again the two primary muscles that are involved here are her quadriceps and her glutes. So she drops down, control this again, leaning forward slightly. The more slight lean forward she gets, the more glute involvement she's going to get. She could be vertical with the spine. That would be okay, but also there's a great deal more stress potentially at that knee because the distance between the forces going directly downward through her spine and the distance between the knee here is a much longer angle than if she's leaning slightly forward. It kind of cuts that off a little bit, shortens that moment arc. Stephanie, go and stand out of that once again, one more time. Taking a look at the lunge from the front angle or the anterior, we're going to have Stephanie doing alternating lunge pattern. It's generally a good idea to start the lunge with a stationary lunge, just going up and down, then perhaps moving into a actually reverse lunge, probably a better way to start after the stationary lunge, then maybe a forward lunge last. Walking lunges are the last progression for a lunge because that's the most complicated, the most complex form of a lunge. You want to get used to doing the lunge properly before you even get concerned about moving forward, let alone moving fast, on a good, even, controlled tempo. So when Stephanie steps forward here again, kind of a casual, or maybe a slightly longer step she was before, that's good. So we'll have her alternate legs every time. But it's very important again, when she steps out, as soon as she steps out, maybe slow it down just a little bit between the transition when you step out. Go and step out, step. Then drop down. You want to think of it really in two phases. Out, then down. If you think of out and down, typically speaking, you may get more stress at that knee because again, the forces may go forward rather than dropping straight down. And that's the greater concern than where exactly the knee ends up in relation to the toe. People get too concerned at times over where that knee is in relation to the toe, as far as distance over the toe or not over the toe. Be more concerned about direction of the forces dropping straight down and load staying around that front leg. The back leg is a balanced leg. Very controlled lunge, slight lean forward. Always being conscious, again, of spine position. So although she's leaning forward, she's got a relatively neutral spine. Abs are lightly drawing in, deep tissue abdominal muscles, transverse abdominis, always active. And if she wants, she can actually get a little smooth arm motion in here. So as she steps forward with one leg, the opposite arm goes forward. Some people have to overthink that one and they put the wrong arm forward. But naturally, it should be just like running or walking. The front leg and the opposite arm come forward at the same time. And again, progression-wise, stationary lunges first, then perhaps into a forward lunge from in place, or reverse lunge in place, then progressing to either forward lunging, walking, or reverse lunging, walking. But always being conscious of balance, shoulders, hips, knees, and feet, watching for extraneous motion side to side at the ankle, or the knee rolling side to side, but keeping that controlled form. As long as it's slow, you're going to find there's very few problems that can happen as long as it's very controlled and slow. Let that back knee bend naturally. Don't try and force it. Don't try and keep it straight. It should just naturally bend as it should naturally go when you actually perform a lunge and step forward, just like you would if you were running. And that's the lunge.